Hi everybody, welcome back to OC Avery. I hope you're all doing well. Coming up in episode 6 of Breeding British Birds today, we've got hybrids causing heartache, we've got new life emerging, and we've got parenting problems with some of the native birds. So let's go and take a look. This week we begin the show with the Redpolls. The Redpolls have had really quite an up and down week. We've had some really high bits and we've had some really low bits as well. So just begin with the lows, let's get that out of the way. We had the pair of cinnamons on 4 eggs. All 4 eggs were full. Now 2 of them hatched the other day. One was dead in shell and one was further earlier on stopped developing dead in shell as well. So there was 2 chicks in the nest. And this is a pair that we had bred last year, the hen specifically. Now, for some reason last year, she didn't rear any of her chicks. She never bothered feeding them. So, not really sure what caused that, but I thought, you know what, it's a young hen. It does happen. Let's give her another try. So, she went down, she's hatched these 2 chicks, and I saw her feeding them the first day, and I thought, great. She's feeding them, and all seems to be dropping into place with her. She's doing all right. Well, after that first initial feed, she stopped feeding them, and I'm not sure why. I came back in a few hours later after I saw that she first fed them, and they got empty crops. And considering how small a Redpoll is, they need a lot of food, especially when they're babies, because it empties so quick. And yeah, sadly we lost 2 young Redpolls in the nest, which is a bit upsetting, you know, and it was off of a really nice pair as well, but it happens. So I think what we've got to learn from this is we're going to have to take the eggs out from that pair, you know, once it comes time for them hatching, or whether it begins to start with, and we're going to have to foster them out. But that's exactly why we've got the feeder Canaries. So they'll go under a pair of Irish, pair of Razzers, or something like that next time round, which hopefully will rear them more successfully. Or we could always float their eggs round in other nests of other native birds, so other Redpolls. But let's not dwell on that sadness. It's annoying, but that's it. So the positives, a lot of positives from this week. The 2 pairs of normals. Now, their eggs haven't hatched yet. However, they're literally due in... One's due tomorrow, so on Saturday, and one is due on, I want to say Monday. So there's some Redpolls due over the weekend from some really nice pairs of normals, which I am really pleased with. And hopefully they're better parents than are the cinnamons. So that's really positive news. They're getting on fine and some chicks are due very soon. But also that's positive is the 2 pairs here behind me have both built up and have both started laying eggs. The top pair here, we have a cinnamon cock with a cinnamon cobalt hen. That pair have laid the 3rd egg today. So that's really good news, and I'm really glad to see that. That pair's clearly getting on well, and we hopefully might have some youngsters from them again. That's a proven mother. That mother has reared me chicks before last year, so that's always a good sign. And then with the pair below, we have a normal cock to a cobalt hen. They have built up over the past few days and have laid the first egg today. I believe the hen is a flighted bird, so she has reared youngsters before, but she hasn't reared them for me. I brought her in at the end of last breeding season from a good friend. The cock bird is one that we bred last year. He does have an opportunity to be split for brown pastel as well. So a nice pair there that have also laid. So that means that we've got 5 pairs of Redpolls on the go from our 9 pairs, and I anticipate over the next few weeks we'll see the rest of the pairs show more interest, hopefully build some nests and hopefully get some eggs as the daylight hours continue to increase as we approach the summer months. We often talk of greenfinches being one of the easiest British birds to breed. Now, note the word easiest means that generally they're going to be easier than some of the more challenging species such as crossbills, yellowhammers or bullfinches. Well, this week certainly hasn't been the easiest. We've had an awful lot of different ups and downs with these pairs. So let's cover the negatives first. So in flight 2, you may recall last week we rung the first young greenfinches, the first young natives of the year. We had 3 chicks in the nest. Now, I must say that those chicks are still alive and they're okay. However, we've had a bit of a problem with them. What's happened is the mother has been rather interested in going back down to nest, and with that being said, she decided to kick the chicks out of the nest at about 10 days old. Now, I found them all on the floor. Wasn't great. I was really quite worried at first, thinking that they were dead. So I did pick them back up, put them in the nest in case it was night fright or something. They ejected from the nest, as they sometimes do. But then as immediately as I put them back in, the mother was throwing them out. So I knew it was her. And she wants to go back to nest. So what she's done is rebuilt a nest, and she might have laid an egg. With the chicks, they still need feeding from the parents. It's only 10 to 12 days old. They can't survive by themselves. They can't fly, and they don't really know how to feed themselves. So what I've done is I've put a bowl on the floor, and I've put some nest material and some easy bed in the base of that, and I've put all 3 chicks in that. So it means they're out of the way, they're not in the nest that the mother wants to go back down into, and they can still live relatively happily. So I've put a pot of egg food on the floor with some peas and some insects in for them, and as much as they haven't been picking them up, I have then seen the mum and the dad of those 3 chicks going back down and feeding them on the floor. So clearly she still cared about her chicks and wanted to feed them and do all things that a mother should do as a bird, but she was also keen to go back to nest. Now those chicks are all right, they're getting on okay. I imagine within the coming days they will start to leave that little nest, hop around on the floor. Maybe they find their way up to the perches at some point, I'm not sure. But fingers crossed all goes well with that pair and those chicks do survive fine. Now for the rest of the pairs, bit up and down as well. So we've got a hen sat on, I think 2 or 3 clear eggs and 3 full eggs. So hopefully some chicks due from them there. Another pair of good birds. We've got pair at the end of rebuilt now since we had problems with last week. You may recall, I think we spoke about this last week's episode. One of the cockbird in flight 1 had decided to kill his chicks as they hatched. Now I managed to save one of those chicks. That has gone under an Irish canary in the shed, and is also, nest mates with a little canary as well, a little crossbred feeder. So that chick's doing all right. It's being well fed by the Irish, but that pair is all right, and the youngster's okay. So a bit of positives from there. The rest of the pairs, these guys are sat down on eggs now. Pair at the end, they've built up and they keep messing about with material. I expect an egg in the coming week or so, and I know we keep saying that, but there's not an awful lot I can do other than just hope that they will finally lay an egg, which they've supposed to have been doing for the past 3 weeks. So a bit up and down with the greenies, but overall okay. So now let's talk about our hybrid pairs. Bit up and down with them this week. I'd say more down and really low with them. I must say that all 3 pairs are all right. We've got all 6 birds, but really quite annoying what's happened. To begin with, we've got our greeny bully pair, greenfinch conch with a Siberian bullfinch hen. They were on 5 eggs. She'd been sat a week. I candled the eggs the other day and all 5 were clear. We don't expect them to always be full, especially first round. Hybrids are very difficult to produce, notoriously difficult to produce, and that's why there's so few of them and so few people attempt them. So we knew that, we're inevitably going to get a good amount of full eggs, but the pair are all right. I have seen them since mating. I've removed the eggs to let them go to nest again. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this next time round we might get a full egg or 2 and we might have a greeny bully on the way. That'd be really nice. Now, we'll come to the first Redpoll bully pair. That pair in the flight have been doing all right. We've seen over the past month now they've been building a nest, laying an egg or 2, trashing the nest and wondering really what's going on. We've had eggs where, oh, well, why have we only had 1 egg laid or what? Anyway, I finally found the reason, and it's because we've clearly got a hen who likes fresh eggs in the morning. And the reason I say it's the hen is because she, I've not removed the cock, but I've seen her on the nest in the morning when she's laid it early in the morning. The cock's not been anywhere near her. The cock's been doing his own thing, and then seeing what looks like she's feeding the chicken. It obviously isn't a chicken, she's eating the egg. So what we need to do is catch her with the egg in the nest before she's eating it. We're going to have to continue just to remove those eggs, and we'll foster them out. And it's annoying, and it does happen. Now we need to try and put her off, so I'm going to start putting pot eggs in the nest, and usually it can sort of discourage them if they're they can't break them and get anything out of them. They usually lose the interest in them. And then coming to our second Redpoll bully pair, we had positives last week. We had eggs from them, and we had seen them mating. I hadn't managed to catch that on video, but we'd seen really good signs from them. Well, it turns out that she is also an egg eater. I noticed one of the eggs smashed on the floor and thought, she hasn't laid it off the perch. Something's clearly dragged it out, and I thought it's probably the Redpoll cock. He's a fit bird. He's probably quite desperate to go down. He's smashed the egg. Well, how wrong was I? I removed the cock bird and left the hen with a nest of pot eggs, and then she laid one the following morning and I found it eating it as well. Really annoying. So what we've had to do is take those eggs that were left. She'd actually laid 6 eggs, we got 5, so I fostered all those eggs out on the Canaries, and let's hope one of them might be full. We've seen them mate, so there's a chance that they could be full, and let's just hope that is the case. And I'd seen her doing that, but what I'd also got is a camera just behind you, and to keep an eye on her, seeing what she's doing, and she's absolutely eating the eggs. So really annoying. But just on the topic of cameras, keep an eye on it. That takes us to this week's sponsor. This week's video is very kindly sponsored by TECHNAXX. TECHNAXX have sent me out their full HD Birdcam TX165, a plastic bird feeder with a trail camera, bird hopper, bird drink bowl and suet ball hook. The product comes with a mounting belt, wall mount and rail mount to give you the maximum amount of options for placement of this feeder. The removable trail camera has a variety of features allowing you to change the photo resolution, video length, normal or slow motion, sensitivity and recording time just at the push of a button with a 100-degree field of view so you don't miss any activity on your feeder. With a micro SD slot, battery pack and password protection option, this camera allows you to watch the birds feeding from whether it be a remote location or even just in your back garden. You can also view what's visiting your feeder at any time with its nighttime recording ability. All the recordings and photos taken on this trail camera are stored on a micro SD card, so you can view them whether that be on the trail camera itself or on your laptop. You can access them from either device. One of my favourite features of this product is that I can mount it on a tripod, I can mount it on a wall mount, I can mount it pretty much anywhere and can move it at any time, so I can watch the birds feeding on it at any point wherever I want it. So I can put all the scrap bird feed I've got from my own birds, put it on there, it's not wasted, and I get to enjoy the birds that are using it as well and get to see them closer up as we do with our captive native birds. So if you like what you see and you'd like one of these bird feeders, please go down to the description and you can press the Amazon link to order yours now and to find out more information. A huge thank you once again from OC Avery to TECHNAXX for sponsoring this week's episode. So the hawfinches have been interesting this week and all pretty much positive signs. We mentioned last time around that we'd removed the cockbird, we took him away from the hen, we've left the hen in the flight on her own. I've seen such an improvement in her and I am really pleased that, she really has picked up. I've seen a hell of a lot calmer. She's been much more happy on there in her own way. She's not been disturbed by the cockbird. Clearly they were causing each other more problems than I originally thought they were. I'd seen them attacking each other, but probably not to the extent that they were doing when I wasn't watching. Well, she's much more settled now, which is great. I've seen her at the nest site multiple times now, so she's clearly showing interest and she's coming into condition nicely. She's taking a rather large amount of live food now. I'm giving her still a mix of waxworms, I'm giving her a mix of mini mealworms, mealworms, and stuff like that. She's getting on really well and I'm very pleased with that. So I think it's just now just going to have to be a waiting game and we're just going to have to wait and see if she does go to nest. That is all I can think to do. I'm giving her a few different nest materials, mainly cocoa fibre, a couple of twigs and stuff like that, and then also just some like jute, sisal and a bit of a mixed hair bag as well. Give them a bit of all sorts, putting some moss in there, and then it's up to her to do the rest. So hopefully that does work. I have heard of people giving sort of like old blackbirds nests to them, or mud or stuff like that, and apparently they'll build from that. Not quite sure, but we're going to try all sorts with her over the next few months. There's plenty of time for hawfinches to breed, and then if we do see some positive signs, if we do see her going to nest and actually building a nest and looking to lay an egg, that is when I'll look to introduce the cockbird. Hopefully, if they've been separated a while, she might just mate with him just to get the eggs full. You know, sometimes they do this, but these birds kind of do defy a lot of logic. You try and think, why would it do this? And they don't fit what you would expect at all. So we're just gonna have to see what happens and just keep us fingers crossed that something good happens within the next few months. Let's just see how she gets on. We've had a really positive week with the twites. The twite hen is sat on the nest just down here, and we've seen no aggression at all from the cockbird, which was something we had to take into account. We had to be really cautious of. I've since tried to remove him, and it just seems that every time I do, I've got a divider which goes sort of horizontally rather than vertically for how these cages are designed. He's not been causing any problems, and when I have removed him, the hens come off the nest and not being happy and been calling for him. So I just thought we're just going to have to leave them together for this first round at least, and then hopefully all going well, shouldn't cause each other any problems. He'll help feed the young, which I've heard they generally will do quite well, and all going well. We're supposed to have some youngsters hatch from this pair at the weekend. Fingers crossed all goes well. I'm giving them a good amount of live food now. They're getting mini wheelworms and waxworms as well. So they're pretty happy, and you'll just have to see what happens in the next episode as to whether we do get young, which I really hope we do, and how the youngsters get on as well. Really something to look forward to next time round. This past week, the native bullies have been nothing but trouble with the hybrid pairs, and the same goes for the straight pair. Once again, problems. The pair we saw last week had built up in the nest. Really good sign, great that we might be able to breed some native bullies. They laid the first egg. Fantastic, really pleased with that. Hopefully all goes well. Well, I was wrong and it didn't. It's either the hen or the cock is another egg eater. For some reason, our native bullies this year's are just fancying fresh eggs in the morning. Not sure why, but that's birds for you. You can't predict them. And yeah, so they laid one egg, and that egg was eaten, and they haven't laid another egg since. So I'm considering, do I change up the nest site a little bit? Do I do something different with these guys? Can I just simply remove the eggs every time they're laid, take the cock out, put them back in? If the hen's eating them, then maybe she is, or we foster them. I don't know. But we're just going to have to see. I mean, the first thing is getting them to rebuild and hopefully get some eggs from them, and then we'll have to decide. We've got a good number of feeder canaries and a good number of birds that I think will feed them, and if it comes to it, if we have to dish out some bully eggs under greenies, we do. And we've just got to see what happens, and hopefully we'll get some youngsters from these guys, something for next year. With everything that's gone off with the natives this week, it's the canaries that have really kept me sane and making me think I am doing something right here, because you often question yourself, am I doing something wrong? Why are the bullies all eating eggs, or why are the greenies throwing the chicks out the nest? And sometimes you just got to realise that there's not an awful lot you can do. Sometimes it's just how the birds are, and is it your husbandry technique? Sometimes it's just the bird's personality, and that's what they're like. You get that with the odd birds, but it's the canaries that have been rather nice to me this week. So we'll just go through the pairs as they come. So this pair of Portuguese harlequins have done nothing. The pair of Portuguese harlequins below, their chick is nearly ready to fledge the nest. It's definitely a variegated bird now. A couple of white flight feathers on each wing. The tail's coming through white, I believe. Either way, it's looking a nice bird, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it gets on and then molts out. Obviously, we'll have to colour feed that, because it's they're a red-based canary. The dimorphics are feeding some yellow agate opals. They're doing really good. Two chicks are, I'd say, 5 days away from fledging the nest. Looking really good. The parents are feeding them very well as well, so really nice to see with those guys. The yellow agate opals at the bottom, they've had 4 chicks from their own 4 eggs, and they've also had to take on some feeding duties with 2 other feeder chicks as well, so they've got 6 chicks at the moment. Basically what's happened is the white and blue feeder hen, she'd been sat on eggs 3 weeks because we had to change them. She abandoned the nest the day before she had 2 eggs due. So I've had to remove the eggs before they went too cold and for too long, and I put them under her because her chicks were due at the same time. So she's got 6 chicks under her, 4 of her own, 4 yellow agate opals and 2 crossbred feeders. One of them's a lighter bird and one of them's come through very dark, so I assume that it's either going to come through as almost like a complete blue bird, or it's going to come through as probably a green. But either way, nice birds, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on. So they've got a busy few weeks ahead with 6 chicks, so plenty of egg food in for them, plenty of peas, plenty of put some mini mealworms in there for them as well, just to give them a hand. And I might have to top them up if it comes to it, if they're struggling, but they're getting on pretty well, and Canaries will generally rear quite a few youngsters. The Irish have got a baby greenfinch in there, which we spoke about earlier, and they've got a feeder chick as well. That feeder chick, I can't tell the colour of it, it's looking like a white bird, but it could all change in a few days. The Razzers are on 5 eggs. They've got 3 of their own and 2 Irish eggs. They're due this weekend. They're due same time as the Twites, so it means that we've always got Razzers back up for the Twites if need be. We can always mix and match the nests if if it's needed there. So they're all doing really well. And in the little outdoor bird room, 6 pairs of Canaries, all on eggs. Really, really nice and really good from them. Clearly it's just benefited from holding them off. So we've got 2 pairs of yellow agate opals. They're on 4 or 5 of their own eggs each. They've got a yellow dimorphic. She's on, I think, 2 of her own, 2 Redpoll bully eggs. We've got a pair of Irish on 3 or 4 of their own and a Redpoll bully egg. We've got a yellow agate opal with a Twite mule. They're on 2 eggs, which could be fertile. We'll see, because the Twite mule is, could have filled eggs last year. And we've got a clear cinnamon crossbred on 5 of her own eggs as well. She's been with the red factor cock all week, so hopefully if they're full, we'll get some, decent feeder birds from them as well. So either way, you know what? It's pretty good. I'm quite pleased. The Canaries are getting on well, and the Norwich have been interesting. They've been a bit of a pain, to be honest, this week. We've got a buff green cockbird with a yellow clear hen. They've had 4 eggs. I don't know if they're full. She's only been sat 3 days. I'm going to leave her sat on them, to be honest, and then leave her sat, see if they're full. If they're full, they'll go under some new colours. If they're empty, then obviously we'll let her go another round. But it does seem that she's not been getting on well with that cockbird, so I'm wondering, should I change things up and put the white one in with her? Not sure, might end up doing that, but either way, she's not getting on with the green. She keeps beating him up, so we'll have to see. And really good news is that we've got that cinnamon. We had the cinnamon. She broke her leg about 2 months ago now. Her leg repaired, she's been all right, and then now that she's started to get a bit fitter, and since moving her, she's now building a nest. She's sat in the nest at the moment, so it could possibly be that we might get some split cinnamons as well, which would be really nice. So we might try and mix the pairs up, put the buff green cock to the cinnamon and put the white cock to the yellow clear. We'll see, but overall pretty good from the Canaries. They've not let me down this week, so really nice things from them. So the birds are getting on pretty well. I'm really pleased with the progress, pretty much anyway. The Bullies obviously been a letdown, but hey, welcome to breeding British birds. That's what they're like. They're not easy to breed, and that's why not many people keep them, but I encourage more people to keep them. And please get in touch if you do want to keep some as well. I'm sure I'll be able to put you on track for some in your area or whatever. Anyway, all pretty much going well. So we've had a few little projects going on. So now that we've had those new cages come in that we've put outside, we've got the young bird shed free. There's no spare birds in there. Therefore, I'm in the process of doing it up. So we've took all the cages out, wiped down cleaned down all the surfaces. I've jet washed all the cages, and then it's just a case of seeing what I'm going to go from there. So I'm going to have to give the whole place a lick of paint, make it look good, make it fresh, and then I'm going to continue to do it up in time for the youngsters, which will be about 2 or 3 weeks time, I would have thought, by the time the youngsters need to move in there. So looking good. and you know, really promising anyway. So hopefully that will be done in the next few weeks. We'll do a video on that, and you know, a bit of a walkthrough of how we all did it. But yeah, so there you are. So if you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, please do subscribe down below so you don't miss any more of my future content. And if you have enjoyed the video, smash a like on it as well and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more of my future videos. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care and see you later.